Am I the asshole for refusing to spend any more money on my boyfriend's illness? Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Don't Go Broke Trying. I am your host, Reni, and this is our Coinfessions episode. If you are new here and you don't know what Coinfessions are, this is essentially the confessions that you all submit to me or I find on Reddit, and they're all about money, money, money. So today we have a bit of a different episode. It's about money, but we're also going to be talking about chronic illnesses and how those two intersect. So I actually recorded an amazing episode with Foma. And Foma, if you want to listen to that episode, please listen, go scroll in your podcast feed or on YouTube. And I'll also leave it in the show notes below. But that episode was great. We learned about sickle cell and how living with sickle cell can actually impact your finances. I learned so much from that episode. So I really implore you to listen to that episode because I think it's great. Anyway, so for this episode, we're going to be answering questions from Reddit, as I said, and some that you submitted. And if you would like to submit a question, make sure that you email us at dgbt@rennytheresource.com and we'll answer your question. So I'm going to introduce my guest, Foma. Hi, Foma.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
I'm great. I have a good time here.
Thank you for being here. And could you just introduce yourself quickly for our audience?
Absolutely. So, like Reni said, my name is Foma. I'm the founder and CEO of a sickle cell support organization called NotJustYou. And yeah, I've devoted my life to kind of advocating for sickle cell. Yeah.
Love it. And she does a great job of advocating. Again, listen to the episode before this because you will learn quite a bit about sickle cell and how it really impacts your life. And again, even if you don't have sickle cell, I think it's very informative. And we need more people to know about sickle cell.
Absolutely.
So go watch that, share with your friends, all that jazz. Okay, so we have a few questions. Are you ready to answer them with me?
I'm feeling the pressure.
And honestly, I feel like we have quite a few questions. We'll try to get through as many as possible. Yeah, I feel like this could be a very long episode, but we're gonna try and keep it short.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start with the first one. Am I the asshole for telling my parents if they don't allow me to pay for a caregiver to help them care for our terminally ill family member, then I'm moving out? So the reason I asked you this question is because we talked about caretaking and how it's very taxing on somebody and financially it impacts someone. So that's why I brought this question to you. So my only sibling has terminal cancer. It doesn't look good and it is absolutely devastating. I'm in my early 20s, sibling is mid-20s. It has been hell watching my sibling deteriorate. No treatment has helped, not even the experimental ones. So that's where we are right now. Life is pretty much hell at home. Sibling has a lot of mobility and incontinence issues due to diagnosis, and as a result, my father has become their 100% caregiver. So has my mom. They haven't left the house in weeks because it takes both of them to help my sibling get to the bathroom. My father hasn't had a full night's sleep in months. He is running himself ragged. My sibling's condition isn't good and the entire house is just hell. Sibling snaps and yells a lot. My father's sole purpose is now to help my sibling move about. It's like my dad is gone and it isn't healthy. I have offered to help to pay for a caregiver to stay for 2 12-hour shifts a week to help sibling so my dad can have some rest and recharge. He's going to overwork himself, and I'm worried for his health at this point. I haven't had time with my dad uninterrupted in months. I came to a head today when we were arguing. I told him straight up that I need a parent and he is failing me out as one. I have a job and don't pay rent to the house, so would he please let me have a caregiver help so we can come and have some time together? He looked me dead in the eye and said, my brother needs him more than me, and there was nothing he could do about it. Looking at him, he's mentally and physically exhausted. I broke down crying and said that I need my dad too, and I feel like he's abandoning me. He said he wasn't, but then he left, and I told him he doesn't need to worry about me anymore, packed my stuff, and left. My mom is heartbroken, and I've spent all day crying. I know this isn't my siblings' fault. They didn't ask to be terminally ill, but my dad taking on 100% of the burden of caring for them and refusing help is kind of a slap in the face. My dad says he used to take me to sports tournaments on the weekend as a kid, and while that's true, I feel like a monthly tournament is different than having your entire life monopolized being a caregiver. I love my sibling and feel like hell about everything going on. I'm in no way suggesting that my parents put them in a care home. I'm willing to pay for the aide to come in and help to give my father a break. I just felt so abandoned when he said he couldn't do anything about it. Like, since I'm not the one in need, he doesn't want me. I'm trying to help and he won't let me. My mom is a wreck over this and I don't know what to do because moving back in would make me lose my mind. Every time I'm there, my mental health crumbles. I'm currently living with my boyfriend and everything is in shambles, but I cannot go back there if he does not accept he needs help caring for a sibling. And again, I will pay for it. So, am I the asshole for telling my parents if they don't allow me to pay for a caregiver to help them care for our terminally ill family member, then I'm moving out?
The pressure.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
it's heavy.
I think the first thing I'll say is that this is a really good sibling. And I think they have a really wise outlook on everything. Like, I think that what they're seeing from what they've said anyways seems about right. And what can happen when you're dealing with a family member who has like a terminal illness or a chronic illness, right? I don't think they're the asshole like whatsoever. I think that actually that's a really, really great idea. I think that sometimes parents, like, you get almost so like obsessed, like, you know that this, it's like your duty to care for your child. You gave birth to this child, and I think sometimes parents like struggle with like, it's knowing that it's actually okay to get help. Like, you think that you have to be the sole provider. There's actually like nothing wrong with, you know, outsourcing help. And I think you find a lot of families where one child, because they're sick, they get all of the love, all the attention. That can be extremely detrimental to the family like dynamic. And it can really what's the word, it can divide families, like, really and truly. I think I've heard of scenarios where like siblings try to like kill the chronically ill child, and, you know, because, like, trigger warning, by the way, sorry. Because it's so bad. Like, it's a lot. Like, children are neglected. It really switches their whole framework of how they view things.
Yeah, and I think some parents even, like, you know, give birth to a second child to maybe donate something
to help. And like, no, like, you brought a child into this world, they're not a caretaker. And that's a heavy burden. So I think some parents, they don't think that it's okay to actually get help, and they forget that, like, you have more than one child. You need to be able to be a parent to all of them. And one of the best things you can do, like, it's better to be like, I always think about how, if in certain ways, like, we didn't pay for a caretaker, but my grandma lived with us for like 8 years. So we had someone to help lift the burdens from both of my parents at the time. And I can imagine my mom was able to be there for myself and my 2 younger siblings. And same with my dad. Like, they were really present, to be honest. Like, especially both my siblings played like club soccer and stuff. And if we didn't have another caretaker in the house, my mom couldn't have been able to split herself so thin, like, and some child would have been neglected. And watching, like the person said, watching your sibling go through something so detrimental is really hard on one's mental health. Like, I remember them times where when I went to the same school with like my brother, like, his teachers would be like, oh, hey, like, you know, Brume's been really kind of sad. That's his name. He's been kind of sad lately. I'm really glad that you're back, because I can tell that when you were gone, like, it must have affected him. You know what I mean? And this is something he never disclosed to us, but outside sources were telling me, you know? So I think that by getting a caretaker, I think that's a really great idea for kind of letting your parents know. And then you actually, like, the person exiting the situation, because you need to take care of your mental health. Like, in this time, they only have one child that is sick, but they're basically going to have 2 because of negligence, right? Yeah. So it's better that you exit the situation, take care of yourself. And you can always, like, let's say they don't want your help. You can try your best to be of aid. Maybe not to them. Maybe your parents might be upset at you for leaving, but maybe you can be of support to your sibling. Like, you know, as long as there's no kind of like bad blood, but even if there isn't, if you have to send financial resources or put together care packages, you can leave, like, having your own space away from the hecticness of, like, you know, living with someone who's chronically ill. I think that is a great decision. And so, you know, it's pretty hard. It seems like it's really tough. And when things are less rocky, hopefully you can kind of like, put the right systems in place to be able to, be the sibling and be the child that you need to be for your family. So
Yeah. Okay. Foma said it all. Like, I don't know what I could add to that really, but I want to empathize with you and say you are not the asshole in this situation. And I think you would be the asshole if maybe you're just telling them, get a caretaker, like, but you're offering to pay for the caretaker. So you are taking on that financial burden of helping them as just so they can have a little time to themselves and like also give you a little attention. So I don't think you're the asshole in this situation. But again, I understand why your dad is like, wanting to go full force of taking care. It's his child, right? But you are also his child. So I'm glad that you are feeling comfortable enough to express how you're feeling. And I hope that your dad will, listen. Warm up to the idea because he does need a break. Caretaking for someone is no joke at all. Like it's very demanding and if you listen to Foma's story in the previous episode, you'll know that it's extremely demanding. Yeah. Like I'm sure your dad is no longer working anymore or
like financially might be a lot like you could probably make more money being at work and then you're outsourcing the cost for the caretaker.
Yeah. So, but I guess because it's terminal, he probably is like, let me spend as much time with my child as before he passes away. Yeah. There was one edit where the original poster said, I miss my dad, but I guess I didn't explain that well. I don't give a shit if my dad spends time with me. Oh, okay. I don't give a shit if my dad spends time with me. I do feel abandoned, but that isn't the point or important because siblings' circumstances obviously matter more now. Yeah. What I do want is 12 hours for him to sleep interrupted, take a shower, or go to the corner store to get milk without worrying about my sibling while he's gone. He hasn't had that in months. Mm-hmm. Also, I'm worried that if he gets hurt or sick, we'll have nothing lined up to help my sibling when he's down. Mom isn't capable of moving my sibling herself, and I get shutted out whenever I try to help. Also, dad is the only one capable of driving the truck that has the siblings' mobility aids and getting them to appointments in the city, so there are logistics concerns. My dad could ignore the shit out of me and I'd be fine. I just hate watching him work himself to the bone and worrying that he's going to get himself in health trouble. Also, I do not blame my sibling for all of this. The entire situation is shit, and I find myself wondering why it wasn't me, because sibling had a lot more potential in life than I did, honestly.
This is really sad.
Yeah, sorry. This is a very heavy... Sorry, guys.
Way to start it.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But I think that I really admire how this person is looking out for their dad. I think that the point on what happens when he burns himself out to exhaustion and he can't care for the sibling, like that is something that maybe he hasn't like considered. I'm sure that person has tried to express that, but I think just maybe opening their eyes to like, hey, you're not taking care of yourself, and if you don't take care of yourself, how can you care? How can you be the person that they need you? He's not being the father. He's not able to be the best father to the best of his capacity because he's burnt out. He's tired. Like we make more mistakes when we're tired and burnt out, and so just a little bit of rest. So I would
at least a little, you know.
Yeah,
caregiver burnout is a very real thing, right? Real. And if you said he may not be being the best father because he's tired, but also the best caregiver, and like, what if he makes a mistake that could
detrimental?
Yeah, it could be detrimental. So I would say, no one's the asshole here. Your dad's not the asshole. You're not the asshole. It's just a sad situation. Yeah. Okay. Are we ready for the next one?
Yeah.
So this is a listener write-in that someone sent in. They said, so the title, I'm a sickle cell patient planning to immigrate to Canada. Hi, Reni. I'm a sickle cell patient planning to immigrate soon to Canada. What should I expect in terms of medical coverage, organizations' reactions to off days due to my crises, and more? So I cannot answer this, but I'm guessing Foma can.
This is a tough one. Yeah. I don't know if they're immigrating for like work or school.
Let's assume they're like adults, like graduated school, professional, and they're moving as a permanent resident, moving to Canada.
This is kind of hard. Well, I believe that medical treatments, like they'll be fine in terms of like if they need to go for like hospital treatments, they'll be fine. Like they're covered for that. Mm-hmm. But I think where the expenses can rack up is probably with medication. But like, I'm not sure how it works if you're a permanent resident and then you get like a job that provides benefits. Like I think like they can have that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then as long as they get a job with benefits, then they can expect that things will be pretty smooth sailing. The most important thing is like upon arrival, try to get like a family doctor. I know that there's like a family doctor shortage, like I guess in the country, which is crazy to me. But even if you're not able to get a family doctor, but for a walk-in appointment to get a referral to a hematologist, and then they will become your primary caretakers. Like even till this day, I barely do family doctors because my chronic illness is so niche. They know my whole life. I spend more time working with a specialist. So if you can get a specialist, and usually it doesn't take super long to see them, just because they are patient. You're gonna be with these people practically for the rest of your life, unless you choose to like change doctors. So if you can get involved with them, they're the ones that will have access to any additional resources that they might have. Like for example, if the medication, even if you're not able to get as much medication money for medication coverage, then they might have certain like copay like cards and whatnot that you can kind of use.
Sorry, could you explain what copay is for someone who may not know?
So if I'm not mistaken, what a copay is, it's basically money that the organizations, the drug companies, the pharmaceutical companies have like a way, like they've put aside that so that if you can't afford the medication, they cover the rest of it. Yeah. So, or like, let's say your coverage is only like 80% and there's 20% that you can't pay, the company will pay for it. So a lot of organizations actually have that, a lot of pharmaceutical companies. So yeah, I think the main thing is making sure you get a care providing team, which starts with the hematologist, because they can connect you to all the right resources. Do not come and just think you can just go to the family doctor, because you'll be surprised. A lot of these family doctors do not know what sickle cell is, how to treat it, what tests to order, what medication to prescribe. So I really implore you to start there. And yeah, I think that's what I can say. And then when you can, try to get a job with benefits, so that can subsidize some of the costs for medication. And take your medication. That's another thing. A small confession. I feel like I growing up with like sickle cell disease, compliance was an issue for me. Like medication, yeah, like to this day, like medication compliance, to keep taking your medication every single day, it's a lot. Like that in itself is hard. So I really, and like, for example, if you're on hydroxy, or if you're privileged to be on that medication and it works, that medication really changed the game for me. It helped reduce my amount of crises. But if I stopped taking my medication as frequently, I got sick more often. So stay up to date with your medication. Don't skip your appointments. I know life gets busy, but like life stops when you get sick. So yeah, for real. So stay up to date with your appointments, stay hydrated and stay warm. It's cold in Canada. Don't be doing gaiman, wearing light clothes, because you will end up in the hospital. So do everything you can to avoid getting sick and have the right parameters in place for when you do.
Yeah, I thought of 3 things while you were speaking. So the first thing, we're assuming you're a permanent resident, because unfortunately we don't know many details. But if you are a permanent resident, I believe when you land, you still have to wait 3 months after landing to get healthcare, because I don't think they want people to just come here, get healthcare, and leave. Yeah. So that would be one thing to note, that like all your, not get healthcare, but get universal coverage, basically. Yes. So if you are planning to move here, I would say come with your medication from home if you can. Anything that can be covered at home in Nigeria, for example, like, I'm sorry, you never said you were from Nigeria, I'm assuming, but wherever you're coming from, get everything from home, like bring all you need to sustain yourself. Also, if you can get a job before landing, that would be even better, so that you can use that coverage from your work to supplement you while you're not getting the universal health coverage that we have here in Canada. That was my second thing. And the third thing was what you said about being warm. Like, if you can move here in the summertime and like work your way up to the winter.
See, that's why she's the resource. This is good.
Because like, it's cold. I've lived here 22 years and I hate the winter. I am freezing even though I don't dress properly, so maybe that's a problem. But like, come with a winter jacket, or buy one when you get here, a good quality winter jacket.
Yeah, maybe buy one when you get here, because it depends on where you live, what kind of winter jackets.
Winter jacket in California is not a winter jacket. Spring. But buy a good winter jacket. Save up for that winter jacket if you can, because it can be a few $100s. And then try to come in the summer if you can, because warming, like our summers are very hot here, but then it drastically gets cold. Once September, October hits, it's cold. So it's better to come when it's slowly getting cold so you can warm yourself up to it versus coming in like February. Worst time to come, okay?
Facts.
Worst time to come.
January, February?
Yeah. Also, if you could like, I don't know how feasible this is because I know it depends on the immigration pathway you're choosing, but if you could choose to go to BC where it's less, it doesn't get as cold.
Yeah, it rains more.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily better.
Yeah,
but
true.
Yeah, it's not necessarily better,
True.
especially for sickle cell. Like the cold and the wet.
No.
Scary scenes now.
Okay. Well,
stay warm.
It's cold regardless anywhere you come here. So yeah, I hope that helps. Yeah, I think that's good. And then they also asked about organizations' reactions to off days due to the crises. Again,
I would say it's like it depends on your like where you actually work.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know like now some places are starting to prioritize work-life balance a little bit more, have a little more personal time off. But I definitely think if you disclose, because like sickle cell disease is a disability, it's just an invisible one. Like a lot of people don't really know. So if you can actually disclose to your employer, like, hey, I have this condition, I may need this time off. I know sometimes with sickle cell disease, sometimes like I can even be honest, whenever I'd be applying for jobs, it's not the first thing that I talked about, even prior to transplant. Like I kind of let them know after, because, like I need a job, and even if you can, like, I'm not saying you shouldn't say it in the interview process. It's probably not a question, but like, you don't want where there's been times I've heard where they find out that you have this condition and then you don't get the job, or they let you go before the probation period is done and stuff like that. So it's really important that like, you secure a good job and also do your research. Like sometimes we see these jobs with like, oh, the pay is fire, but like the pay is fire, but you're going to get fired when you leave. Like, like if you can't get the time off. So sometimes look at like, what are the company values and like how, like do your research into finding what it's like for off days, because whilst the pay might be a little bit lower for certain jobs, that they're really flexible with like giving you that kind of thing. And I think that's a good question to ask in an interview even, like, so like, how do you guys cater to someone with a chronic illness? What are your policies and procedures for people with like illnesses and whatnot?
But I feel like, unfortunately, people, like employers, some will discriminate against you.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I'm like, maybe
like,
let them know
it
after
is a
your
good
probation.
Question to ask, but then they're probably like, why do you want to know? Yeah. Like when I ask in an interview, like, what are your diversity and inclusion practices? Like, some employers kind of say like, oh, this girl's gonna try to, she's they see me as, oh, maybe I'll be a problem. Like I always want diverse.
That's true.
I'm team pro black.
That's so true. But then again, you might not even want to be at a job like that, right? So if you don't get the job, maybe that was the Lord helping you.
For sure. But then it's definitely a privilege to be able to say I don't want this job because So it's nuanced, but I think this person. You should definitely listen to the previous episode and get some more insight from Foma. Yeah. I'll probably keep referring to the previous episode. Okay, next question. Am I the asshole for refusing to spend any more money on my boyfriend's illness? Throwaway for privacy. Also, English isn't my first language, so please apologize if I spell some things wrong. I, 23 female, and my boyfriend, 22 male, have moved in together just before quarantine. Something you should know about him is that he has severe anxiety. I have supported him since we started dating. I have been there for him. I have paid for therapy when I can, etc., etc. I also have depression, so I like to think I understand a little bit about what he's going through. Now, a way that his anxiety manifests is that he thinks that every so often he is incredibly sick, like super sick, like on my deathbed sick. It's called hypochondria in English, I think. And every single time this happens, I have to take him to the doctor so he gets checked up. He is never actually sick. Where I live, this costs about $80. Not too bad, but when this is happening twice a week, yeah. Plus, it's full of sick people who we could contract an illness from as well. I work for both of us. He quit his job due to his health concerns, so all the money comes from me. I recently got demoted due to the fact that I can't work full-time in person, so money has been even more tight. And yesterday, I snapped. He called me from another room while I was working and asked me to take him to the doctor because he knew he was sick. I was so frustrated that I just started crying. I told him I couldn't pay any more money. I had like $30 for the rest of the week. He knows that he has hypochondria, yet he insists on going to the doctor anyway, just in case. His therapist is useless. His therapist barely even shows up to the meetings anyways. I was just so tired of this. Back to what happened. After I said that, he went very quiet. He just walked out of the house and kept on walking. He blocked me on everything, and none of his friends will tell me where he is. I have a friend who is on my side, but everyone else insists that I was the asshole. I feel super guilty, but I can't afford to lose more money. So, am I the asshole for refusing to spend any more money on my boyfriend's illness? No.
I don't think she's the asshole.
Baby girl.
Like,
baby
my
girl.
first question is, why are you living with him?
My
Like,
first,
why?
even if
Like, look at the ages. Like, wait.
23 and 22, and like, why are you paying for him?
Yeah. Are y'all
Versus
not
family.
y'all? Yeah.
Or-
like, many questions. I'm like,
Sorry to be like, I know not everyone has family, so
yeah. And
but,
okay, like, let's say you don't have family, but like, are like how like even committed are y'all? Like, engaged, getting married? How serious is this relationship? Like, why did you choose to take on this? And like, did you know what you were getting yourself into? So I don't think she's the asshole for doing that. But my question, like, to her is kind of like, the only okay. So like, I can see why people think she's the asshole though. So I'll say that, like, yeah, like the reason why is, did you not know what you were getting into at all? Because you know, you get into a relationship, like, I think before you commit to live with someone,
True.
you should know, like, okay, this person has this chronic illness or this mental health condition. Can I deal with this? What are the implications of this? I think that and I think living with a chronic illness, that's one thing that you have to learn. You need to learn, like, you need to plan. You need to think about your future. How, if worst case scenario, blah, blah, blah happens to me, how am I going to deal with that? I think that living with a chronic illness, that's something that is really, really important. That's what I do. What I've learned, I'm always kind of thinking ahead. You kind of need to anticipate the worst. You know what I mean? And I think in this scenario, I can imagine that the people around you are probably like, well, yeah, you are an asshole because you knew your boyfriend is like this and now you want to leave him, you know? But I don't think you're the asshole, because that is a lot to commit to, especially at such a young age when you should really be building yourself up. Like, you probably can't save. You're not making that much money. You're spending it all on somebody else. Like, you become a caretaker.
Yeah. At 23.
22, 23,
Yeah.
like that's a lot. Like, you clearly can't take care of yourself right now.
Like $30 for a week, girl.
Yeah. So I don't think this person is the asshole whatsoever. I think that, and even yourself, you also have, you're saying you have mental health issues as well. I think that, no.
You know how they always say, like, you can't pour from an empty cup?
Yes.
I think this is the perfect example
Of
of
doing
like,
that.
girl, you only have $30, and your boyfriend needs $80. Are you gonna go into debt for this man that you're not married to? That you just I don't know when you started dating him, but honestly,
To move in during the pandemic,
yeah.
in these times.
I know, like, love makes you do a lot of stupid things.
Yep.
So I get it. Baby girl, I've been there. I've done stupid things.
Yeah.
But
No more stupid things.
no more. And I hope that all the comments on this post are actually very positive and supporting her and, like, not calling her the asshole, because you're not the asshole for this.
At all.
You cannot pour from an empty cup. And it's one thing to want to help someone, but if they don't want to help themselves, like,
Yes.
it's kind of like, you can't want something for someone more than they want it for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening in this situation. I know he's going through a lot. I'm not faulting him, but you are not the asshole for not paying, like, going to debt basically for him.
And I think kind of like one of the last questions, like, this looks like she's not putting herself first. And like, it's really important that you can't take care of others if you're not taking care of yourself in any way. So yeah, look out for yourself, girl.
Yeah, there was an update. It says, shortly after I posted this, he called me and said that he was willing to take me back.
Well,
No comments. But all the comments were sort of a wake-up call. I broke up with him over the phone. I know that I know that he was with friends that he can stay with, and he has a big savings fund. So this man has savings.
no.
and you're paying $160 a week for him to get checked out
Wow.
at 22, 23.
No, pack it up.
Nah. The next day, I got a call from his friend. He had tried to do something, which resulted in him getting checked into a psychiatric facility. It all escalated very fast, but now he is getting professional help. I will go to visit him sometime. Most of his friends are still mad at me, but a few realized he was becoming unreasonable. Thank you so much, everyone. So she did leave him. Thank you,
Thank God.
girl. And I hope that you do not internalize what he just did and think it's a result of your actions, because it's really not.
And I think also she should try and remember, like, whilst you were in love with this person, I'm going to assume that you were in love with this person and you guys had like a connection, like the person that that might have been possibly taking advantage of you or saying all these negative things clearly is like mentally ill. Like they're probably not in like the right state of mind. And so they might act in a way that they normally wouldn't. So I think they should keep that in mind whilst all of that was happening. And like now he's getting help, thankfully. But I don't think you should kind of like, even like possibly going back to like see that person, like you would need to wait till they are healthy again, because that is just another like chance for the door to be opened for you to get back in that hole.
Yeah. Sorry, baby girl. I'm glad you left.
Yeah.
I'm glad you left. Focus on yourself. Focus on building yourself. Don't get into a relationship. You're a child. How do I avoid stressing about finances when I can't work? Context. I am 22 and I was assigned female at birth. I use they, them pronouns though. I have had a declining health since I got mono in summer of 2019. However, it imploded on me in August of last year. I haven't been able to work consistently since before the pandemic started. I am currently living with my parents and getting help from a naturopath since the doctor said all my tests seemed fine. Joke's on them, I am not fine. I have always had financial stress because of how I grew up. Even when I had some money, I was scared of when it will run out or if I won't have a stable source of income. I know I won't be able to get a job until summer of 2022, so that's already passed, and online jobs are not an option for me at the moment. It's just doing a number on my mental health and stress, knowing I can't buy things for myself. I am not sure how to compartmentalize it so that I don't keep thinking about it and get more stress. So my question for you is, what do you do to stop worrying about your inability to financially support yourself in the short and long term due to your chronic illness?
That's a good question. I've actually had mono before. It kind of sucks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got it like not too long before I was going to go for transplant.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Did it delay your transplant?
It didn't delay my transplant, but it like delayed a lot of things in my life because like I missed like school for like a month. Like I was out. Yeah. So this is a really, really valid question. It does kind of seem like there's a little bit of trauma around like money.
Yes.
So I think like maybe even starting with dealing with that, and then also like they might like maybe the trauma is just due to like a lack of knowledge and like how to actually manage their resources. Because like one of the things we touched on, I think in the last podcast is like, you know, making sure that, you know, you're financially literate enough to have the right systems in place to like, you know, have money for like a rainy day. So when you are able to like work. So I think, like I said, deal with the trauma, then also, you know, get financially literate and find the right resources to make sure you're able to have that kind of cushion money to take care of you in that time. And then I guess to kind of like I guess when you don't have any money saved up, you're going to worry about money. Like when you don't have any kind of backup plan saved up, I'm assuming that's why it's a problem. So I guess the ways in which I kind of stop is like, I don't have to worry about it because I know that, okay, I have a little bit of money saved up for when I'm not able to work. And then also they mentioned that I think they can't do remote jobs.
Yeah.
I guess my question is kind of like why? Because there's like not all remote jobs are like the same. Like there's so many things that they can do. And so I don't want to make it seem like be rude or anything, but it's kind of like, you know, if you're sick, like that is hard. And like, but like maybe remote jobs, like you don't like them or it might be an inconvenience, but like you have to like before like kind of pick your heart because unfortunately, like, you know, you're chronically ill. So there are implications with that. So I would say like try to find like a job, like if you can't work outside, to find the best remote job for yourself. And then maybe you might have to like kind of cut expenses in, like, if the remote job that you find that works for you isn't paying the bills as much, you might have to cut down certain expenses to make it work for you. Like, I know this isn't like the sweetest answer, but like living with a chronic illness is also not very sweet. So yeah, kind of a sticky one, but yeah, that's kind of what I would say.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially cutting expenses. Like, if you can live with like maybe you live alone, maybe you can move home and live with family if that's an
Yeah.
option. I know it's not an option for everyone.
Mhm.
Or I'm like, obviously, sometimes when we look at all our expenses, we realize we're spending money when we really shouldn't be spending money.
Exactly.
So maybe that could be an option. But also, I just recognize that when your income is inconsistent, it's hard to even plan for the future.
Yes, yes,
Right?
yes.
So it's very hard. Like the most important thing for you would be to start an emergency fund.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what an emergency fund is, it's when you save 3 to 6 months to 12 months actually of expenses. So if it costs you $2,000 a month to live and have all your needs met, then you will save 3 months, so it could be 6,000, or you could save 6 months, which would be $12,000, and you save that in a high interest savings account, and you just put that money there, until you need it.
Absolutely.
And because you are in a situation where, okay, some months you may have money, some months you may not have money, you don't know when you'll have money, it's really good to have this because then you can stop stressing. And as you
Exactly.
said, there's some money trauma that's
Yeah.
going on. So if you can, start unpacking where that trauma is coming from, and
Exactly.
yeah, I think that would be very helpful for you. But
Kinda
yeah, this
tackle that
one's a
solution.
little tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Why can't you do the remote jobs is a question that we don't know. We don't have many details, so it's hard to answer.
Yeah, but I'd hope that, like, if it's like not a remote job, but like maybe because, like, I feel like sometimes we think of very conventional jobs when we're like jobs searching and stuff, but like there could be like a unique job that might work exactly for you, like work really really well for you. Maybe not like like a a fully online where you're with like a big company, but maybe like doing like contract work at some of your skills. I don't know like how crafty or creative you are. Like, you could put one of your talents to work. Sometimes that is like, I don't know if you're too ill to work,
Yeah.
or if you're not able to like work outside, like maybe due to like compromisation or something like that.
Good point.
So yeah, tough one.
Yeah, very tough one. Okay, so we have another one from a listener. Hi, Reni. Well, it's not for me, but they submitted it to me. It's for Foma. So, hi, Foma. Do you find sickle cell limits your overall growth? Just the mindset of anything can happen to you at any time is crippling for me. This affects me as I don't want to work for a future that might not happen. So this one's a bit heavy.
This is heavy, but
Yeah.
the answer is no. Like, no.
Do you think it has to do with the way you were raised and like how your parents raised you to like you could do anything?
Yeah, like I think so. Like I always say, like, the stigmatization of sickle cell, like in Nigeria, they like think it's due to like juju and all this kind of stuff. They have all these horrible names
Yeah.
and stuff for people like that. I think it's like a death wish. So, and that has followed us into the like Western part of the world. We bring that with us here and kind of, try to get people like to suppress and not talk about what they're dealing with. I would say my parents they didn't do like necessarily, they never hid my disease. So I didn't really feel that. I never felt like super stigmatized. I knew that I could get sick, but like I knew that I wanted to enjoy, like I wanted to live a normal life like my peers. Yeah, like I wanted to live a normal life with that. And I know there's an uncertainty of like the future, but I'm not gonna like, when you are thinking about the uncertainty of your future, you're ruminating on a negative thing. And even that can affect your health. And so I think one of the best thing that you can do for yourself is just kind of like, just reflect on like, keep thinking about the positives, think about the life that you want to achieve. Like, I know this sounds kind of bad, but like, God forbid your future is like, God forbid your health deteriorates and you pass away early or something like that. At least you lived a full life up until that point, and God forbid you leave this earth, you're remembered for something good. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like for myself, I never thought about like I knew that sickle cell could kill me, but I never thought about that because why would I think about that? Like that's like I already am dealing with a chronic illness. I don't need a chronic mental health condition as well. Like that is like you said, this is a very heavy question. So I would really encourage this person to meditate, reflect on positive things, think about all the things that whilst you have a chronic condition, there are lots of positives about you. There are lots of things that you're good at, things that are inside of you, skills that you can develop. Life is beautiful. Life can be very beautiful. And I say this from someone who life was hard to live, but I know that life is beautiful. There's so much that life has to offer. So I think you should chase that and chase enjoying a really, really good and fruitful life, and not think about, that, oh, well, my life could end. Like, you ever heard of that saying, I'm here for a good time, not a long time? Like, I know that sounds like crazy for this answer, but really and truly, we are here on this earth for for a good time.
And we don't know how long we have.
We don't. Like, even for the people who are not chronically ill, you hear all these stories about people just passing away just like that. Yeah. And reason undetermined. They never find out, right? So it's not just you. It's not just you who is kind of dealing with some of these thoughts of like, what if like I'm working so hard for a life that I might not even get to fully live? Like, and that's why it's really important to like, let's not get so caught up in make money, the grind, and save for rainier days. Like, let's not get super, super caught up in that.
Other things.
Because then you don't even have time to enjoy the life that you have right now. So maybe you're not doing that. Maybe you're kind of, you focus on, I need to save for if I'm going to get sick, or for my house, for my kids, but you're not taking time to enjoy now. Yeah. So you should do that. Soft life, chop life, everything.
Yeah, because I don't have a chronic illness. I don't feel like I have much to add to this, but I think that was a great answer. The only thing I would add is maybe try therapy, maybe explore therapy. Yeah. Because I feel like this is a very heavy question. As I said, we are not licensed therapists, and I feel like maybe unpacking this with a therapist would be absolutely very helpful. You may want to look for a therapist who is knowledgeable about chronic illnesses and living with a chronic illness, or even I think there are lots of support groups for people.
Yeah, support groups and stuff. People that you can share, bounce ideas off of. Hey, if you even want to talk, holla at me. Yeah, for real. Like, yes. I totally understand. And I think Reni's right. Like, looking into therapy, even if it's because like specialized therapists, like we said, are expensive and hard to find. Like, even I think just worrying about like the future is something that a lot of people deal with. So I'm sure any like licensed therapist could probably help you with that. Yeah.
Okay, we have 2 more. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Would I be the asshole for complaining to my store manager about my coworker with chronic pain? I, female 20, am a team manager at a food shop. I'm essentially the lowest body of management, but I do run shifts and hold seniority over my team members. Most of the staff are teenagers, still in high school or freshly graduated, and we are hiring up a bunch of new staff for the upcoming summer. My coworker, female 18, was hired a couple months ago. I don't know any specific details, but I do know that she struggles with her health and feels sore and tired the majority of the time. Myself and the other managers at the store have had a generally difficult time getting her to pitch in and help the other staff serve customers and do closing duties. She sort of just stands around and actually sits on the floor behind the counter or stays on register the entire night rather than rotating around so that no one is stuck doing the most difficult jobs for the entire night. For example, tonight the store was extremely busy due to a high school dance nearby. We had a line out of the door from 7 p.m. till 10 p.m., and she served a maximum of 10 people, and that's being generous. When it came time to close and clean up shop, she relies on whoever she is paired with to do the majority of the work. I sometimes will ask her to do things, and they either don't get done, or sometimes someone else does them for her. I've even noticed other team workers frustrated with carrying her workload, and some have even spoke to me about it. I know it must be frustrating sharing their tips with someone who doesn't nearly put in as much work as they do. The store manager has sent out texts in the group chat generally telling everyone to make sure that everyone is working as a team rather than confronting her specifically. But it really hasn't done anything. I'm thinking of asking my store manager to have a serious discussion with her because I am afraid that if team morale stays low, we will start losing employees that do hard work. My dilemma comes in because I know that she is genuinely sick. She probably can't help how she feels, and she's doing the best that she can. But I feel an obligation towards the rest of my team to say something. This is not the kind of work environment where it's easy to make accommodations for her needs, unfortunately, as all the duties are rather labor intensive. So, would I be the asshole if I asked my store manager to have a talk with my coworker with chronic pain?
I'm like teetering.
Yeah. So the reason I asked you this was because I think in the previous episode we were saying that if you have a chronic illness, sometimes there are some jobs that you can have, some you can't have, and it's tricky finding a job that can work with you. So I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this one's kind of tough. I mean, I kind of feel like they are kind of assholes because if they can see that like she's not doing well and like, well, one, I guess how long has this been going for? How did she get the job? You know, like those are kind of the questions that I'm kind of like wondering, like if did they hire her knowing that this was kind of the case? If so, then like you guys kind of, you guys know what's up. You know what I mean? I see like sometimes like sharing tips that can be kind of difficult because you guys are all kind of working and stuff like that. But like if you do see that someone is like struggling and like all you're concerned about is like they're not even doing enough work and we're just working like so hard, but they are like, it's not like she's not trying. That's what it says. Like maybe 10 was a lot for her. You know what I mean? And what, like, would you rather have some sort of liability case on you if you guys are like trying to, like push her to work super hard? So that's why I kind of feel like, you kind of might be a little bit not super considerate. But then I also do think there's nothing wrong with having a serious discussion with like, are you okay? How can we support you? Like, and even, are you even able to do certain things? Like they mentioned that she's always, I think, on the register. If that's the only position she can do, well, then utilize that.
That's
You
what I
need
was
to like capitalize on somebody's strengths.
Yeah.
Like, why are you making this person bust tables, mop the floor? I know what it's like when you have to mop that floor with that heavy mop. That's labor. So, like, I know what's up. So, like, don't make that person do that. But if they can stay on the register and they're good at that, they can stay there. So, but I think a conversation, there's no harm in a conversation, but like let there be a conversation first before you go and pack it up and make them lose their job or something like that.
So my thought was actually the same. I was like, I think you are the asshole, not because you are the asshole because you could see she's in pain. Like, she has an illness and you are instead gonna, I don't want to swear, but you just want to complain about her to the manager. I think that, again, okay, let me give myself an example. When I used to work at Payless Shoe Store, and I'm kind of a germaphobe, low key. So I didn't want to be like sometimes you have to be touching people's feet and like putting the shoes on. My manager knew I didn't want to do that work, so instead she put me on cash 24/7. There are very labor intensive roles within Payless. Like they could have had me stacking boxes. They could have had me unboxing everything in the back. But because they knew the type of person I was, they put me on cash, and I was literally on cash like the whole time.
I'm sure you were great.
And I did an amazing job at it. So I feel like you have a duty to her. Why'd you hire her unless she maybe lied about it? Maybe. But let's assume she didn't lie. She informed you about her chronic illness. I think just make accommodations for her.
But now they know she has a chronic illness.
So accommodate, right? Yeah. And I think that you're concerned about, I don't want to lower team morale. Okay, sure. But it would be better to educate the whole team.
Yes.
Right? Because it's like, now people are thinking, this girl's just lazy. She's not doing everything. They don't know because she's not obligated to. There's no need for her to disclose to everyone else. So they're just thinking she's lazy, and you guys are giving her a pass. That's what they're probably thinking. But I think if you educated everyone, like, okay, we are making accommodations for this person. She's going to be on cash, 24/7, and basically not deal with it, but this is what works for her, and this is what her strength is. So we're gonna utilize her strength and put her there.
I agree.
I think that would be more, I don't know.
I think so because, and if this is like a fast food place or something like that, like.
It's not that deep.
Yeah. And I know some of these store managers, like I did retail, I worked in the restaurants, they take it so seriously. And I know like profits and stuff like that, but like people have lives, and people are going through things, and you're worried about like not getting somebody's burger to them on time. Like it's actually okay.
It is.
Yeah, and people will wait in the line. They're hungry, right? So
everyone will be okay. Literally, everybody will be okay.
Literally.
So last confession: am I the asshole for not telling my boyfriend about my chronic illness? I don't feel like I'm the asshole in this situation, but I'll tell you guys a story and let you judge. I won't be offended if you think I'm the asshole. I really just want to know if I am. Me and my boyfriend have been together for about 4 months, and we're both in our mid-20s. We do not live together. I have a condition called hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's, which, for those who don't know, is a chronic autoimmune illness. In short, it means my thyroid doesn't produce the hormone it's supposed to because my immune system attacks it. This hormone is basically what gas is for a car, but for the body. So if I were to stop taking my medication, I'd just be very tired all the time. That's literally the extent of my illness. I'm really tired if I don't take my meds. Thing is, my illness doesn't really affect me at all because as long as I take the medication, me and my body functions exactly like a normal, healthy person. I don't even think about it. All the symptoms and imbalances in your body go away as soon as the medicine starts working. The medicine has no side effects, and it's known that the medication is no different for the body than the naturally produced hormone that I don't produce. My boyfriend was visiting my place the other day and saw my bottle of the medicine and asked me what it's for. I told him in the most undramatic way possible. He started acting very strange, and a little bit later, he started telling me how he felt conned, that he didn't know he was dating someone who was sick, which again, I'm not really sick because the medication helps. And if we were going to have children, I'd end up passing on my bad genes. I was honestly very surprised. Is this something I need to tell people before dating them? Because as I said, it's literally not even something I think of, like, ever. I don't even consider myself sick. So, am I the asshole for not telling my boyfriend about my chronic illness? And they made an edit. I also want to clarify that I did not avoid telling him. I just never thought about telling him. So I brought this to you because, like, I don't know, dating with a chronic illness, how is it? Do you think she should have disclosed, like, in this situation?
This is interesting because, like, it seems to not super affect her quality of life, so she doesn't really think about it. I'm hesitant to say she's the asshole because hesitant to say she is or she's not because I personally think that it's pretty important to disclose, kind of like it's the same reason why we're really advocating for people to get screened and know their genotype and then talk about that early on so that you can just, have an idea of where the relationship is going. So I think that applies to this situation as well, irrespective of how you interact with the condition. You may want to know how your potential partner, because if you had said it earlier, maybe it would have been a potential partner, how they feel about dating someone who is chronically ill. Whilst you might argue this, it's not like a super chronic illness and whatnot, you feel fine. But like some people, it's a lot for people. I've lost friends because they just didn't really know how to, like they just couldn't take the heat. And it's weird. Like, it's not even that, like, even just like, oh, I'm in the hospital and then they just didn't say anything. Like some people don't know how to deal with things like this.
Fair enough.
So I think that it is something that you should probably disclose earlier because now it's seeming like maybe you guys are kind of serious.
Yeah, 4 months in.
Yeah, like 4 months in. I don't know how serious for some people that is, but like let's say you guys are boyfriend and girlfriend, completely exclusive, it's a serious relationship, then you probably should have let him know, like, you do have this health condition because what if something were to have gone wrong, you didn't take your medication, you didn't have access to, now they don't know how to care for you and stuff like that. Like if this is someone that you're with, but then I think he's the asshole because his response was whack. Like come on now, that's disrespectful. So he's the asshole.
From my point of view, I see it a little differently. I'm gonna try and think of it from like a financial point of view because as we've been talking about, like dating someone with a chronic illness means that if they become your partner, then finances will be impacted, for example. So I do understand the reason why you probably should disclose early on. But because of the type of condition this is, it's kind of like, it's so like hypothyroidism is so common. And so like literally I know many people who have it and it's super manageable. It's not like something that is extremely expensive that's going to be a huge financial burden typically. I don't think. So that's why I'm kind of like, okay, you weren't really you maybe should have told him. But like,
but it's also not that.
It's not
that his response was not warranted.
And is it even is it
I'm not sure. Maybe a lot of things have some sort of genetic component. I don't think it works in the same way like
Sickle
hereditary,
cell.
like sickle cell, like
Yeah.
in that way, but it might kind of be like you see it down like family lineage.
Yeah.
But I think I would probably, like, I agree with you. Like, his response was not warranted. I think it's a display of character. Like, you kind of know, like, this is how he
Yeah.
feels about people. Like, God forbid something was to go wrong with your condition, it progresses, or it deteriorates, I should say. Like, is this how he's gonna feel towards treating you? Like, 4 months in, like, his response was a little too adverse.
You dodged a bullet.
Yeah, like,
So
I
you
think
could have dodged a bullet earlier if you told him earlier.
facts, and he responded that way. Maybe he wouldn't have if he
Yeah.
disclosed it earlier, but it's seeming like he doesn't want that.
Yeah.
So
And I think it's what, like, if my partner told me that they had some sort of some condition right now, like say we were dating for like a year and then they suddenly told me, I'd feel a little like, oh, like, why didn't you feel comfortable enough to tell me this earlier?
Yes.
But I'm also not gonna. I usually never say never, but I know I will not react like this guy and say you
No.
have bad genes.
Yeah, that's trifling.
I know for certain because first of all, how can you say that to your? I don't know the way he said it.
Yeah,
like, that's a bit wild.
Yeah, it's giving toxic.
It's giving, and I know that when you don't understand something, it's easy to like just go to like, oh my god, like maybe he's scared or like whatever, and that's
Yeah.
why he's. But no,
I don't. Yeah,
he's not
like,
a kind person.
even if you're scared, yeah, it doesn't seem like he's kind.
No.
Like, why would you respond in that way?
Yeah.
So I think that's personally telling. I
Yeah.
don't know how you feel about that, but
Yeah, and I also think that like disclosing sickle cell is a bit different because it's literally like it's gonna be. You need to know the person's
determinant,
genotype. But like for this, I don't know. I don't think it's as serious.
yeah.
And although it may help you weed out the unserious people very early on if you do disclose early, but I think he's a weirdo. Like,
Yeah. I mean, like, rule of, like, the thing is you don't even need to disclose. Like, I think once you get kind of comfortable with the person, you see that things are getting serious. I think that's when you can kind of try and bring it up. And if he had responded in this way, then you know, okay, well, at least we weren't too far in.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully emotions weren't super on high.
I know.
At 4 months, but
Sorry, babes. Just you dodged a bullet,
Yeah,
so you're
much
you're
love.
good. Wow, thank you, Foma, for being on my podcast. I appreciate
Yeah.
you. Would you like to plug yourself and tell the viewers where they can find you?
Absolutely. So yeah, if you would like to interact with some of my content, or you want to just ask questions, chat it up, you can find me on every like social platform at FomaJustFoma. And then if you'd like to support my organization, which is NotJustYou, you can find us on our website, NotJustYou.ca, or on Instagram, NotJustYou_NJY.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yes, I will make sure to leave all those links in the show notes below. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you listen to the past episode. I've said it like 5 times, but make sure you listen to that past episode. I think it's one of the best episodes yet, and it's very informative. So yeah, please listen to it. If you did not know, we have a YouTube channel where all these episodes are posted. So if you're listening to this right now, you can go and check out the YouTube channel and watch it and share it with a friend. I think it will be very valuable for everyone to just learn more about chronic illnesses. So thank you once again, everybody, for listening. Make sure to rate and review the podcast. Share this on your Instagram story. We love to see it. And also on Twitter, you can use the hashtag DGBTpod, and it will help us see what you're talking about. If you want to reply to any of these stories, you can reply on Twitter. So thank you, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.